What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another review video. I am super excited about this one. Been actually waiting for this for a while. I'm gonna tell the whole story soon, but today I'm gonna be reviewing the future of electric motorcycles, the NAXEON I AM electric motorcycle. Look at this thing. It's absolutely beautiful. You guys might be familiar with this motorcycle if you watched the Tron review on it, which didn't go really well because the bike did have some problems with it. I was actually supposed to get it around the same time he got his, but mine got delayed because they were working on the problems that this bike had, and I'm happy to say that they pretty much fixed everything. About a couple weeks after that Tron review came out, they actually came out with their own video on their YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description, and they went in full detail on what the problems were and how they fixed all of them and what they did to fix all of them. And it's actually pretty amazing that a company cares so much about its products that they went and handled all the issues that this bike had. So I received this bike a couple days ago, and from the testing I initially did after receiving it, it seems like none of those problems are there anymore, which is a good sign. We're also going to be reviewing it in this video. There is so much to go through with this motorcycle. It has tons of technology. I'm going to go through all of it. There will be chapters down below. Feel free to skip around to whatever's of interest to you. But before we do anything else, let's start with the specs. So what we got here is the NAXEON I AM Pro street legal electric motorcycle. It features a hub motor in the rear with a rated power of 7.5 kilowatts, 10,500 kilowatt peak, coupled with a 72 volt 90 amp hour battery. That is an impressive 6,500 kilowatt hours. Insane. This should give you an estimated range of about 112 miles, depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. Beautiful aerodynamic wheels for more sufficient riding. The front wheel is a 17-inch 110 by 70 and a 17-inch rear wheel, which is 140 by 60. We have a moto style hydraulic brake with ABS. Amazing. We have an interesting front fork design with quadrilateral suspension. I've never seen that before. As well as a rear monoshock, a very large, super comfortable seat. This bike also has turn signals and a beautiful headlight with a halo, low beam and high beam, as well as an active brake light, of course. The total weight of this bike is 302 pounds. Pretty heavy, but it moves. Up on the handlebars we have a full twist throttle with lots of buttons, which I will go over in detail a little later in this video. In the center we have a 7-inch TFT full color touchscreen, and on the left side we have all of our light controls like turn signals, high beam, low beam, hazard lights, and the horn. And those were all the specs. Pretty interesting, pretty good specs as well. The battery on this thing is absolutely insane. The torque on this thing is absolutely nuts. Just coming over here, and like I said, from the testing I did, insane. Next, I want to dive into more detail with the interface and this screen over here, all the settings that this bike has, and it has so much, it's insane. So again, feel free to skip around. Let's jump into that. Okay, so this is the display. I'm sorry guys, this is the best I could do. There's a little bit of glare, but it's gonna go away as soon as the screen turns on. So to turn the bike on, we have this NFC card. It comes with 2 cards, so we just put it right underneath the screen and the bike will turn on. And once the bike is on, we have a few different options over here. I can obviously see the battery, the range that we have left on the percentage, the total mileage over here. We see average consumption, battery temperature, motor temperature, and we have a bunch of these logos to the top left. Those will tell us if we're connected to the app, if we got Bluetooth going on. There's actually a SIM card that you can buy. They're getting it working fully in the US, but you can connect the SIM card and have a whole map in here for navigation, which is pretty cool. This will give us things like, if we're using the blinker, you can see the blinker, left, right. It'll tell us if our headlights is on. Right there. It'll tell us if we have brights on. So it will show us our mode down here. Snail mode just means that you can walk next to the bike and hit the throttle, and it'll give you a little bit of speed just so you can walk the bike. Pretty cool. As soon as you put any pressure on the seat, that snail mode will go away, and you see how it changed to sail. So we're in P right now. If we hit on the handlebar, there's a park button. If we hit that, it'll change into D, and we're still in snail mode because you have to be seated on the bike for it to go. So if I put pressure on the seat, it'll change, and if we press on that, you see that we can change from sail, dynamic, and zigzag. There's 3 different modes. It went back to snail because I let go of the pressure. Other than that, we have our home, which is this screen. You can just scroll like this to change screens and get a bunch of information, okay? Or you can just press on what you want. So this is the map, which I don't have connected, but it will give you a map, which is pretty cool. Navigation. Other option is parameters, that tells you about the bike, consumption, and things like that. It's pretty cool. The next screen is more of like a chart with your current trips and mileage and things like that. Then we have our camera. So we have a front camera, and we also have a rear camera, which enables when you press reverse, and there's the rear camera. If you let go, it goes back. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. Now this thing can also record, so you can press record. It's also on the handlebar. I'll show you that. Also, when we take this bike for a ride, you can hit record and record your ride, which is pretty cool. And the next page is the settings page, and over here we can start with display. You can change the display brightness, theme style for the display, dark or light, or you can set it to automatic, temperature display, unit display, mile or kilometers, tire pressure. This has active tire pressure monitor, so you'll know exactly where your tires are at. You can change the temperature between Celsius and Fahrenheit, the language. Now this is for the widgets, which is another button on the handlebar that you can kind of customize. I made that button change between modes. You can also have it go to somewhere else if you want. Time settings. Then we have sound and lighting, headlight delay. That means that once you get off the bike and you lock it, how long will the light last for? Auto headlights, that's pretty cool. Light show, I will show you the light show when it's dark out. It's pretty interesting. Brightness of the light, sound system, low speed pedestrian alert. I think this is where the bike, when you're driving 20 miles and under, the bike makes this like woo humming sound. That's not too annoying. It's actually pretty cool, just to let other people know that you're around. Vehicle control, you can lock the steering. There are so many options over here. Steering lock sensor, so when you turn the bike off, it will lock the steering column. I'm not gonna go through everything in here, but you guys can read, and most of it is pretty self-explanatory. And if you don't know, you can just hit this information and it will tell you exactly what this is. Stone Age is a pretty interesting feature. This bike has so many safety modes, like the kickstand sensor and others, that you can choose to just turn off, or you can customize it. And you can have the brake. If you like to wheelie and things like that, you can turn that off all through the app. It's pretty cool. And we also have traction control, ABS, and auto recorder for the cameras. Now this BSD radar, that is an option that you can purchase separately from their website. It does come shipped like that in Europe, but in the United States we have to have a certain type of rear light that doesn't enable this to be installed, but you can buy it separately and install it yourself. Network is if you're connected to, you can actually hotspot your phone to the system and have navigation. Oops, user binding. I'm not, this is one thing, is this is a demo bike and it's already bind to a different phone, so I can't bind it to mine, but that's where you check that out. This is a log for weird activity on the bike. System management is pretty self-explanatory. It'll show you the installed versions of everything that's on the bike. Now another thing I forgot to mention is through the network, if you are logged in, you can actually receive updates through the network when they become available, which is pretty cool. And then NFC management, you can add more cards, and they're bringing it to iPhone. It's not available yet to iPhone, but you can eventually connect your phone with an NFC and use that to turn the bike on and off. So that's pretty much it for all the settings in this unit, which is pretty insane. I've never had a bike with so many settings and options. That is pretty cool, and I wanted to show it to you guys. Now let's move on. Alright, and that was the user interface. As I said, it's pretty intense. There's so many options and so many things to go through. Pretty crazy. But now the moment you've all been waiting for, let's hop on this thing. We're gonna take it for a ride. We're gonna try to do some top speed runs and see what that is like, and I'll talk about the actual riding experience. Let's go. Alright, let's go for a ride. Now, a couple of things I forgot to mention is let's turn this thing on. Is two things. One, on this display, this plug, if you hit that, it'll open up the charging port. Hopefully you guys can see that. Pretty massive charger. I think it's a type 1 charger if I'm not mistaken, but you can also get it where it goes into your, it's this type of plug, but it goes into your wall outlet, which is pretty cool. Close that up. And now on the handlebars, this is the other stuff I didn't show you earlier with these buttons. So there is plus and minus. This is to change different settings, and it's also a record button. This one is a favorite button, so once you have a recording, you can pretty much favor it and save it. This is the P button, which we're in park right now. To drive, you got to hit that and it'll go into D. R is reverse. If we hold that down, it'll turn on the rear view camera and we can just go in reverse, but you got to keep it held down and then hit the throttle to go in reverse. You let go, it goes back into drive. This left side is pretty much your turn signals, left, right, headlights, hazard lights, and a horn, which is a pretty massive horn. And there are two more buttons. They're flickers over here. On the left side is a high beam that you can just flick on and off. On the right side is a boost button, which we're going to be testing out. But let's go ahead and see. I mapped this middle button to change modes. Sail is the slowest mode, dynamic, and zigzag. Let's go into zigzag. Alright, and we are off. Now you hear that sound? I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's like music playing. That's the sound that's played when you're going, I believe it's under 20 or 25 miles an hour, so other people can know that you're there. But let's go ahead and get out of this area. Man, acceleration on this thing is absolutely nuts. Now, it's a big boy. It's a pretty heavy bike. I think it's around 300 pounds, but this thing takes off, absolutely takes off. I have to close my visor. Hopefully there's no wind sounds. This thing absolutely goes. It's pretty good. And it's so smooth. So I have hub motor bikes, but this one is different. I don't know how to explain it. It's super smooth. Let's make this light. And this thing picks up speed so fast. Super stable too. It's such a solid bike. It's so stable. You feel very confident on it. And the brakes on this thing are absolutely insane. Let's put it into sail mode, which is technically the lowest mode. And let's see what kind of speed we're getting. There's no way for me to, oh yeah, I can feel it. It has less torque. So it kind of eases into the power. And with this mode, you're obviously going to get the most range out of this battery. And looks like we're hitting about 52, 53 miles an hour, 54, 55, 55 miles an hour. Not bad at all. Okay, let's turn it into the next mode and turn around over here. See what kind of speed we're getting. Oh yeah, so more torque in dynamic mode. Now, see, I started saying I don't have a way to mount my phone onto here, so I can't really compare it to GPS, but we'll just trust the bike. 62, 63. Did we hit 64? I may have seen 64 over there. Not bad at all. That is amazing. Let's give it one more shot over here in zigzag mode. And hopefully that light, oh yeah, so much more torque right off the bat. Hopefully this light turns green for us. I don't have to stop. Yep, there we go, green. 58, 62, 63, 64, 65. 65 miles an hour. That is pretty impressive. Now obviously if you drive like that everywhere, you're gonna be losing your charge on the battery, but this battery is a massive battery. 6,500 watt hours. That should give you a lot of range. 72 volts, 90 amp hour, which I'm assuming is where most of the weight of this bike comes from. The body itself is pretty solid too, and in the beginning I didn't know how I thought about or how I felt about that monoshock front suspension, but you guys see that work? It's pretty good. And no matter where you go, this bike is definitely gonna draw attention, get people looking at you. It looks like to me it looks like something out of like Tron. If Tron and Apple got together and made a bike, it would look like this. Takeoff on this thing is so impressive. So quiet too. It's pretty crazy. It's a fun riding experience. The sitting position is amazing actually, and the seat itself is really comfortable. I wish my Tron seat was as this comfortable. Now as far as the top speed, a lot of that will have to do with a lot of factors. So rider weight, battery percentage, terrain, if it's windy or not, temperature. So we were able to hit, what was that? I couldn't really see. It was a 60 something. I already forgot. I was trying to pay attention on the road, but they claim that this should do 72. Oh, you know what? I forgot to use boost mode. That's what I forgot to do. So we're gonna go and try boost mode right now. Okay, I got boost mode enabled. You can see those red arrows. This will give us the max power of this bike. 70, 71. Woo, 71. Okay, so they were in line. I forgot to test that earlier. I apologize, guys. Now, boost mode doesn't last forever. I forgot the exact amount of time that it lasts for. Then it has a cooldown period for you to be able to use it again, which a lot of bikes do that. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people just say, you know what, just give me the full amount of power at all times. But I think it's just safer like that. It's like a safety thing, just from heating, overheating, and keeping the battery, you know, in good shape. I'm really happy to see that whatever they advertise is what you're actually getting, which is pretty nice. I'm loving this bike. I wish I got to keep it. Unfortunately, I have to return it, but I wish it was mine. See how it does over this. It's alright. And like overall maneuverability and stuff doesn't take long to get used to. This thing is fairly agile for the size of it, you know, for the weight is what I mean. The size is pretty nice actually. It's kind of small. And I'm super confident with these brakes. These are some really good brakes. And so far it's pretty comfortable. Very soon I'm gonna be taking this thing on a range test so we can really give it a proper range test. This is more of like a review of riding review and how I feel about it, which, as I mentioned, big ups to NAXEON for actually taking care of their customers and fixing all the issues. As far as I'm concerned, 2 thumbs up on this thing. Now this bike is gonna have 2 models eventually. There is the NAXEON I Am Lite and the I Am Pro. So the Lite is gonna be coming soon to the US. It's not available right now in the US. It will be coming shortly. We have the Pro available in the US right now. Now something I didn't touch on is the price. This bike is a bit on the expensive side. It comes in at around $8,000, so $7,999. But for everything that you're getting, especially this battery, it is kind of worth it. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a sale coming up on this bike soon. I think it's like the first 200 orders receive $500 off, which is a nice amount and makes this a little nicer of a purchase. But this is not a bike you get to, you know, ride around your neighborhood. This is a commuter bike that's for you to replace your car. It's got plenty of range, and this is what NAXEON wants to do with this bike. This is more of a city commuter, not really meant for highway, even though it is capable of it as far as the speeds and everything, but it's not really meant for that. NAXEON is looking at this thing more as a city commuter, as I said, inner city and commuting, and this thing is perfect for that. Now I want to give you guys an example of just how nimble this thing is, and you can just create shortcuts wherever you're going. Don't highly recommend doing it all the time, but just like that, you know, it's not a massive bike, which is pretty cool, pretty fun. And I don't know what else to say. I'm in love with this thing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I will be doing a real world, oh, what's up, buddy? Man, people are crazy. I am going to be doing a range test, a real world range test on this bike. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that content. Hit that notification bell. But I think that's pretty much it, guys. I don't know what else to say about this thing. I think we covered pretty much everything. I'm in love with this thing. Could be riding all day. Absolutely beautiful. But that is pretty much it for me, guys. As always, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.